What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the latest episode of Uncool with Alexa Bliss featuring Drake Maverick. Now, as I've said before, the video version of the podcast goes up on Tuesdays on the WWE Network, the WWE YouTube channel. The audio of the interviews actually goes up a week earlier. So, for example, the Drake Maverick interview podcast went up this week on the WWE Network and the WWE YouTube channel, which is what I review. I'm not subscribed to the podcast, but the audio version of this went up a week ago. This week was the Tyler Breeze episode, so you can expect that review in a week from now here on the channel. Probably every Friday is what I'm aiming for. But I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, which has been a common theme throughout the show so far, whether it's wrestling related or not. Everyone from The Miz to even her own boyfriend, Ryan Cabrera. James Iglehart was great, Lance Bass. And now this episode of Drake Maverick, all of them have been very, very good. And Drake Maverick is just a genuinely cool guy, just a genuinely good guy. So to hear him tell stories, and he really dominates this episode. It's really less of an interview and more of like a casual conversation between two friends. So he talks about growing up in the UK, trying to fit in as a kid. Didn't exactly work out initially. Always got bullied, a lot like the other people who have been interviewed on this podcast before. Pretty much for his hairstyle, he got bullied for everything that he used to wear. He got a lot of his inspiration from the show The In-Betweeners. I've never heard of it, but apparently it's a lot like what American Pie is to America is what The In-Betweeners is. I guess from what they're saying here is what that is to the UK. So he really liked the show. Alexa Bliss knows the show. She used to watch the show as well. And he was very, very uncool. The only time he ever felt kind of cool, the only kind of people that made him feel good growing up were his brother's friends, because his brother, I believe, was younger than him. So hanging out with people that were younger than him, they kind of looked up to him, so that kind of made him feel a little cool. He says, despite the fact he didn't have a great school experience in terms of how he was treated, but he says he does miss his school. He does miss school. Alexa Bliss does not. He got bullied a lot like he did, but for different reasons. He even says later on that he is completely justified in the bullying that he endured growing up, just because he would always run his mouth. He was really annoying. Alexa Bliss, not so much. She just got bullied for other reasons, so she does not miss school at all, but Drake Maverick does. So one of the few shows that he used to watch growing up was Raw, of course, on Friday nights, because over in the UK the show airs, I guess it airs live there now, I'm pretty sure it does. I don't remember if I was over in the UK, or in England specifically, for a couple of weeks last year. I think I watched it online. I didn't watch it. I watched it live, but I didn't watch it like on a channel or something. So he used to watch it at that point on Friday nights, because he used to air on such a delay. So he left home at the age of 16, which is crazy, and he started working in a bank until he was 30. And he'll get to that a little bit later on, but he talked about kind of growing up and whatnot. He went to prom, and he talked about the whole prom thing and how he was awkward going. I never really liked that shit. I went to my senior prom. We had a junior prom, never went to that. And it was good. It wasn't terrible, not as bad as I thought it would be, but it was far from great either. I mean, it was memorable, I remember it, but not for anything overly special. He does remember watching in a single day Toy Story 3 when they kind of give up the toys, and that's really like the end of your childhood, and then watching American Pie the reunion, kind of realizing that he's the Stifler character because he works in a bank now. He had to throw all of his old action figures, his toys away, and then move on to an adult life, and he kind of relates that Stifler character from the American Pie movies. He admits that he was a huge prankster growing up. One of the pranks included, and he tells a lot of stories, a few that I was just enjoying the conversation, so at certain points I forgot to take notes. But one of the stories that he shares includes how one of his friends, he knew he was going to try to get it on with some girl. He was making out with her, so they set up a video camera. And this is way back when. This is probably the late 90s, early 2000s maybe. Not exactly sure when this was. Probably early 2000s. So they set up a webcam in the room, on the laptop or whatever, on the desktop, so they can capture the video of what was going on. I'm not exactly sure how legal that is. If you could do that, I'm not exactly sure. He was actually hesitant to even share the story. So nothing really came of it. I guess they just made out and left, and then one of his friends came through the window and was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Liam?" And then he was like, "Oh, shit, man, we really wanted to see something." And he even said that it was all blurry, too. Like, the quality of the video was completely shit. I mean, it's the early 2000s, It's far from what we have today. So he shares a few stories about the pranking stuff. He talked about almost getting his head shaved at one point, jumping into like ice cold water and expecting to get this big pop from the people there. No one cared, just complete silence. That was awkward. He told a Halloween story about how he was there with like, he went to a party or something. And then like the other guys, they had to do like this blindfold contest where they would do stuff while blindfolded. The joke ended up being on Drake because the other people that were blindfolded ended up getting ushered out. And they weren't really part of the prank anymore. It was just, it wasn't really a prank to begin with. It was more of like a contest or something. And then Drake was the only one doing it, but he had no idea because he was blindfolded. And the stuff that he had to do, he had to take off his clothes, pretending like he was having sex with like an invisible woman, blah, blah, blah. Do all these sex positions, everything you could possibly imagine. Takes off the blindfold, and there's this whole group of people just standing there laughing at, maybe not laughing at, I guess kind of laughing at him. It wasn't like, ha, 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 what a loser. They just thought it was funny. But he shares that story, which was wild. He talked about how when he first started working at the office at the bank at the age of 16, he was still mentally in high school at that point. And Alexa Bliss said, because Drake brings up like, oh, I thought I could have gotten fired a number of times. There were people that looked out for me, but I'm shocked that I wasn't fired at any point before I ended up leaving at 30 to go pursue this professional wrestling thing. So she says, what stories do you have where you almost got fired? You thought you were done. He says that at one point, he accidentally, and I completely take this seriously as if he did, but he accidentally wired 400 million euros, he said, into the wrong account once because he got the wrong number or something, I don't know. And it went through a couple people before it went through and no one really thought that it was wrong or whatever. He went into the bathroom and cried, and he had a terrible boss. He related it to the woman from, oh God, what the fuck is the name of that movie? I don't remember now. Matilda, the woman from what is that? Like the room with like the spikes in it and shit like that. The old mean teacher from that movie. I don't know what her name is, but I forgot what the name of the box was. Like I don't know. I forgot what the name of the box was. But the name of the woman in that movie, or the woman in that movie, is who he relates his boss to because she was such a bad boss. She was not friendly. Hated the fact that he did wrestling, all this other stuff. So he went to the bathroom and cried. And he knew, not just at that point, but just in general, that he was better than that job, that he had actual dreams, but his parents always told him to have a stable job so you could do what you want to do in the future. It's not exactly what you want to do right now, but do this stuff now so you'll have enough money built up so you could do what you want to do later. So you'll always have that backup just in case. So he praises the people who helped him kind of get to where he is and, always looked out for him because he knew he was kind of a goof. And they could have, made fun of him or whatever. But he, thanks those people. And he gets emotional talking about that, which I thought was cool. He talked about looking up to his mom and that his dad wasn't really there a lot growing up. He would always come home from work and either go to sleep or eat or go out with his friends. So the only real memories that he has of his parents, which is kind of sad, is the fact that they were always arguing. Nothing physical, but always just bickering back and forth. So they kind of transition into a lighter note, talking about how much he loves Patrick Swayze and Arnold Schwarzenegger and all this other stuff, and he talks about how he recently got back into video games. And they talk a lot about video games, how he hates Call of Duty, and how Alexa Bliss does not like the more methodical games. She likes kind of like Frogger and something Taxi or whatever. But he loves the Friday the 13th game. Now, I've seen my friend play it. I know the PlayStation has it as a game. But I guess it's a Steam game now, too. It's an online game. So, considering it's Halloween weekend, I might have to check that out at some point. But they talk a lot about old games and consoles and stuff like that. They talk about Tamagotchis. They talk about a wide variety of topics, which I thought was cool. Maverick said that he started collecting, because he loves horror movies, he started collecting the Funko Pops of like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, blah, blah, blah. And then there ended up being so many. He now has, he says in his own words, over 100 Funko Pops, which is unbelievable. And he loved It Chapter 1. He liked the second one, but he really, really liked that first one, as did Alexa Bliss. And it was a great movie. I actually might go watch that tonight after SmackDown. It was a really, really good movie. He also really liked Invisible Man, which I also thought was a good movie. I enjoyed that too. I think that was the last movie I saw in a theater before the pandemic started back in March. And I'm glad I saw it. It wasn't like a great movie by any means. Alexa Bliss, heard great things about it, but, or no, maybe, she didn't see it, but she thought, maybe I should watch it, blah, blah, blah. But he said it was pretty decent. So he talks a lot about movies too, how he really, really likes movies. He goes to the movies on his own. He goes to the movies by himself. And growing up, he never thought that would be, as a kid, kids think that's a weird thing to do. Adults do that normally. And he's like, hey, I feel like the cool guy now going to the movie by myself. And that's kind of like his ideal cinema experience, in his own words. So to kind of close it off here, he never thought he would be cool. He never thought he was cool growing up, and never really felt cool at any point in his life. The most uncool he ever felt was in school. And like I said, he said, this here, where he felt like he deserved the bullying that he got growing up because of how he acted, how annoying he was. He would never shut the hell up. So he kind of feels like he's not really surprised that he was bullied, basically. But he would tell his younger self that it's going to get better, to not worry about things, because if you keep worrying, that's all you ever do, is worry about things. Try not to worry. Things will work themselves out, and things happen for a reason, blah, blah, blah. But he likes to do things that make other people happy, which is why he did the whole Survivor Series 2018 thing when he peed himself, which was fucking dumb. But he'll put himself out there at the expense of his own whatever, his integrity, blah, blah, blah. Because, it makes other people happy, makes other people laugh. So that's his whole shtick, which is cool. And he thinks that everything that he's gone through, which hasn't been terrible in his own words, but everything that he's endured and experienced over the course of his life has made him better for who he is today, which is cool. So yeah, I really like this episode of Uncool with Alexa Bliss with Drake Maverick. I thought it was really, really good. Shared a lot of funny stories growing up, and a lot of, he's just an awesome, genuinely cool dude. I mean, you can relate to Drake Maverick. I love the video game, the toy talk, even some of the stories that he shared about working in the bank and stuff like that. He's just such an entertaining guy. Whether he's a serious competitor in the ring or doing the whole comedy thing with Killian Dane, he's entertaining no matter what. So, I really enjoyed this episode. It clocks in at around 47 minutes. I watched it on the WWE YouTube channel, but you can also watch it on the network, which is why I review it. And there are a ton of podcasts right now on the WWE Network. I'm not reviewing any of them, except for the Alexa Bliss one, because I think there's a finite date that they're going to end at. I think. Unless I'm mistaken. If there's not, then I might have to stop this at some point, just because it's a lot. But I enjoyed the show. I thoroughly enjoyed it so far. And you can check it on both the network and on the WWE YouTube channel, and the audio version on iTunes, whatever, or wherever you find your podcast, for the latest episode every single Tuesday, I believe. So be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Check out the description box down below for more Uncool with Alexa Bliss podcast reviews in the playlist that is titled as such. We will be back tomorrow on Halloween itself with not only a SmackDown review, very likely, from tonight, but also a Talking Smack review from tomorrow. So a very jam-packed Halloween here on the channel. Be sure to check that stuff out. And yeah, that's about it, guys. So enjoy your Halloween weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.